Hi, ladies. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and get started because it's on the hour, and I want to thank you for being here, and I'd like to respect your time. So I want to welcome you to Redesigning Midlife with Passion, Purpose, and Power. And I want to let you know that we'll be together for about an hour today, and then I'm going to be covering some information that I learned in my many years of self-study and research, coaching, healing, and certification programs, and soaking up everything that I could to become more balanced and to help others achieve their goals and their dreams. So I want you to relax, to take some notes, and to be encouraged because you're really not in this alone. I'm going to share a little bit about my own story along the way, but more importantly, you're going to learn the 4 steps that I used to transition through midlife with ease and into who I am today. I am really grateful that I did the work, the hard work, because I was determined to attain peace and happiness, and I have found it. And I want to let you know that it is possible. So while working with my clients and talking with my friends, I realized that there's so many of us that are transitioning to this stage in our lives. Our children are growing up or grown. They may or may not have families of their own. We're feeling like we're not as important anymore. A lot of relationships go through tumultuous times at this point in life. Some are doing not so well. They have lost the zest. And we've changed so much throughout the years without realizing it. Some people are facing early retirement or retirement at all, and they have no idea who they are without their jobs. So then what do they do? And it's inevitable that our health and our bodies are changing, and we really have no idea to how to step into the next part of our lives. Throughout all the stages of our lives, there's many books written on babies, teenage, getting married, starting a family, but who's really talking about how to evolve and to move through midlife with grace and ease? I remember just thinking one day, what happened? How did I get here? I don't feel like I'm midlife, but according to what the dictionary states, that midlife is between 45 and 60, I am definitely in midlife. So I thought, how am I going to move on to knowing who I am? So when I think of midlife, I think of older men driving in a sports car. I don't know if that's the image that you have. They usually have a fake tan. I don't know if it's the era anymore, but it used to be that the men that didn't have hair would walk around with toupees. Sorry, and now I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to recapture their youth, but instead of capturing it and realizing that they could move into a different part of their lives, they decided that they would hold on to it. But I'm here to let you know that I have found a way to transition into our midlife. So what I decided to do was take my skills as a life coach and an energy healer and to create a program that would help women move into this part of their lives, finding their passion, their purpose, and their power. And by doing that, they would go ahead and make the best out of their best lives. I'm sorry, I say that wrong all the time. The most out of their best lives. And while I was designing this program, I did look up the definition of midlife, as I had given it to you before, and I thought, we're living so much healthier and so much longer. How can I help people move into that direction? And this is a time for rediscovering who we are and what we really want. But how do we do that? Because for most of our lives, we have been taking care of everybody else, making sure that everybody was happy and that they had everything that they needed. And we often forgot about who we are to our core and how are we going to find that person again. For some people, this will be the very first time in their lives that they have been able to put themselves first. And that is why I put this webinar together. I'm going to teach you the 4 steps that you can implement in your life today so you can start redesigning your life. And I also want to let you know that if you stay till the end, I have a real special gift for you, and I will promise that it's worth it. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to close myself off of camera so you can pay attention to the information that I'm giving you. And to honor everyone's time, because I really thank you for taking this time for yourself, I'm not going to be taking any questions. However, if there's something that you feel that you need more clarification on, or that you actually have a question for me, please feel free to email me through my website, and that's www.projectmindful, and that's mindful with 2 L's.com. So I'm going to go ahead and close the camera now, if I can find the button, and let's get started. So my name is Christy Alonso, and I specialize in helping women during their midlife transition to feel more empowered, to embrace a new way of life, and to achieve their dreams. And I'm here to let you know that I'm going to walk with you towards your new confident self. I'm here to help you move from anxiety to vitality, to enjoy a life with purpose and hope, to get off that emotional roller coaster so you can feel confident into your new life, to purposely move your life into a new direction so you can stop feeling lost and instead you can feel brave and confident stepping into this new chapter of your life, to attract loving and supportive relationships, to feel good about the people that you have in your circle. We can be choosy at this point in our lives, and to believe in yourself with a renewed confidence and inner strength. So why you might be here? Because your life has changed and really nothing is the same as it was before. And we had no idea how we were going to move through this part. And we didn't imagine that it would be like this. Maybe you're here because you're searching for happiness and joy that you knew existed at one time, but they are a distant memory. And you lack the energy and the vibrancy because your physical chemistry is changing and things in your body are happening and you really don't understand. At this point in our lives, we really can understand what gravity is all about and how it's taking effect. You might feel like you're merely existing, and then you ask yourself, what is my purpose? And who needs me anymore? And most of all, you might miss being you, and you often wonder, where did I go? The good news is that you're not alone, and I have been in your shoes. And I would like to invite you to join me, and together we will walk through this transition. This will help you to renew your passions and redesign yourself into the vibrant woman that you know you can be. I can help you with my 4 steps for reclaiming balance and peace in your life so that you can love living again. I'm not selling you anything today, but if you stay till the end of this webinar, I have a free gift that's just for you. So this webinar is for women who are ready to discover the awesome power that they have within. That is the power that we have way deep down inside. And because of the way that our lives have gone day in and day out, we often don't recognize it anymore. And I'm here to help you make a life shift so you can create your happiest life, whatever you choose it to be. I want to let you know that you're in the right place. If you desire to be happy again and to feel excited when you start your day, when you get out of bed, having a smile on your face and saying, I am grateful and thankful for everything that will come to me today. If you're ready for deep healing and amazing personal transformation and growth, and if you're ready to and able to transition into a time of exciting growth, and that you're really ready to work towards your best years. I am committed to empowering women to break free from their emotional blocks that keep us stuck and in pain, and to rediscover their authentic selves so they can truly create a life that they absolutely love. It has become my mission to empower women to thrive and to live their happiest, best lives. Does this sound familiar to you? Whether it's hot flashes or it's restroom visits, or if you're just tossing and turning at night, you wake up and you can't go back to sleep for hours, and you wake up feeling drained and exhausted, and you're thinking, how am I going to get through today? I just don't have the energy. And everything feels like a struggle, and it feels like you are really carrying around the weight of everything and everyone on your shoulders, and you really don't know how to get rid of it. And do everyday motions feel like you're being a robot? And then you ask yourself, when do I get to live my joy? Maybe your to-do list keeps getting longer and longer because you just can't seem to get the things done that you used to do. You're reliving your past by telling yourself the same stories over and over again. And when you recreate those images in your mind, you keep recreating the feelings that didn't feel good, and then it keeps you stuck. So you're never moving forward. You're always stuck in the past. Do you feel like you're pushing people away because you just don't care anymore, or you're just not feeling yourself? You feel like you have no oomph, and who would want to be around you anyway? You're feeling unfulfilled and empty. You're giving too much away and not getting enough back. So you no longer have that half full cup. It's always half empty. And you're wishing for a life free of anxiety, conflict, guilt, doubt, and worry. You really want life's dramas to just say, leave me alone. I want to pull the covers up over my head. And then you may feel like you're growing in the wrong ways, because at this point in our life, our bodies do change. So are we growing physically instead of spiritually? Maybe you want to feel calm in the midst of chaos by staying grounded and dropping into your heart space. And how awesome would it be to feel peace and harmony as you go through life? To feel successful in everything that you do by celebrating all of your wins, no matter how big or how small. If we look collectively over our life, there are so many celebrations that we have that has gotten us to who we are today. When you live with intention by determining what is important to you for your happiest life and living a balanced life, and this is something that we can learn from the millennials. I think they coined the phrase work-life balance because I've never heard it before I started talking to my son's peers. And to them, it's very important to find a work-life balance. So if we look at our lives at this point, where are we not in balance? Wouldn't it be awesome to find that place? And how about finding your purpose and your passion? Finding something that you really love doing because at this point you can. So when you shift your life, going through these processes, you're going to gain a sense of self-control by putting yourself in the driver's seat. You're in charge, and nobody can take that away from you. You feel connected and remember who you are by making yourself a priority and setting boundaries with everything and everyone in your life. You take charge of yourself and your choices with intention so that you don't feel like you're giving your life over to someone else and they have control. And you step into your power and get ready for the next chapter of your life with energy and joy. This may not be ready for you if you're looking for a magic fix. It didn't take us overnight to get here, and it's not going to take us overnight to find our peace and joy. If your schedule is so busy that you don't have time for yourself, think about, is it something that you're doing that's making you happy, or is it keeping you unfulfilled? You're not willing to invest in yourself for a better future because you don't believe and you don't think it's possible to change. The beautiful journey of today can only begin when we let go of yesterday. We often walk through life holding our stories in a suitcase. And as we drag them through today, unless we empty the suitcase as we step into the next part, we can't grow. So this quote is very meaningful. We need to let go of yesterday. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. For me, midlife was a constant struggle. When I wasn't working, I spent most of my time on the couch watching mindless TV, and my personal relationships suffered. In 2000, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I did everything that I needed to do, that the doctors told me to do. And I worked hard at getting myself grounded and balanced. And then in 2012, my life changed. I was overwhelmed by a marriage that wasn't working. I was caring for elderly parents. They had health issues, and I was dealing with my own. And my mind at that time kept me in a vortex of mindless chatter and negative thinking. And I really knew that something had to change, that there must be a better way of life. I wasn't sleeping. I felt anxious all of the time. And I wanted to stop the hamster wheel because it was affecting my health, my work, and my relationships. So I started a quest for internal peace and happiness. And that was when I was introduced to my friend Kelly. And she taught me that I had the power within to create my dream life. And it was like the slap on the forehead. What a concept. Sometimes we're so deep into something we can't see any different way out. I recognized and realized through working with her through coaching and energy healing, nutrition, that my mind, body, and spirit were completely out of balance, and that I wasn't honoring my authentic self because I didn't know who I was. And by not honoring myself, I was causing upset in all areas of my life. I felt like I was living my life for others, even though consciously I didn't think so, all the while jeopardizing my own happiness and peace. I had really forgotten who I was and what was important to me. Then I shifted my life by learning how to empower myself and to be happy again. And today I'm going to be sharing that roadmap with you. So on my journey, I stepped into my power as a woman. And I did that by deciding to invest in myself. I defined what freedom, abundance, and happiness were to me. And that is a different definition for everybody. But I did realize that freedom to me was to have the time to do what made me happy. So I started finding outside things to do, interest in painting and dancing, going on hikes. To me, it was freedom because I no longer had the confines and the constraints of doing what everybody else wanted to do. I was doing something for me. Having an abundance in relationships, a lot of times people think that's all about money. But if you don't have an abundance of health, you don't have abundance of relationships. Life isn't very fulfilling. And happiness to me means choosing to make the best of all situations. When I look at a situation, I can make a decision of how I'm going to react to it. So by combining my skills as a certified life coach and a bioenergetic practitioner, I learned to keep myself balanced. And with those skills, it became the glue. And the greatest thing on this journey is that I found my true passion, which was helping women discover their confidence and their authentic selves. And my tagline is empowering women to thrive, because we all deserve to live our very happiest lives. And what I learned in this process is that there's no magic fairy dust, that it takes time, it takes commitment, and it takes hard work. And to be mindful of my thoughts today, because they create my future tomorrow. And how to live life with purpose and intention. And that how to quiet the chatter in my mind that tried to keep me small. By telling me all of those negative beliefs, by telling me all of those things that I didn't think I was, I didn't think I could achieve, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't smart enough. I learned how to quiet that, and I've actually learned how to eliminate those. Well, I can't say that because they do creep in. But how to determine when they're there and how to get rid of them. And I learned how to clear limiting beliefs by telling myself that I am what I think I am, not what someone else told me. And I've learned to create an amazing life full of happiness. Regardless of what happens in my day, I am grateful for all of the opportunities that have showed up. I've learned that I deserve love, I deserve peace, and I deserve joy, and that taking care of myself is not selfish at all. So when your mind, body, and spirit are in balance, you feel empowered that you can rock this world. And by being in balance, it means that you're no longer feeling anxious, you're no longer feeling guilted, conflicted, filled with self-doubt and worry. And I promise you that you really have the answers within you to create your happiest life. That all you need is a little guidance, a roadmap, and a cheerleader. So let's get moving in the right direction. All of the women that I have worked with have been able to tap into their power, and I know that you can too. And I love this photo. It's so freeing to me. You can discover your power and go after the life you want, even if it doesn't seem possible. Shedding our former selves is scary, and it can be a lot of work, but it's well worth it. So let's get started with the 4 steps to change your life today. So step number 1 is about shining your light. And when you shine your light, you love yourself. Have you ever heard of the saying, if it feels good, do it? For me, that's the basic premise of loving yourself. When you make a decision, do you listen to what your heart is telling you? And how does that feel? Stop comparing yourself to others, because we are all unique. There are no 2 people that have the same lives, same experiences. So acknowledge the fact that you are unique. And when you want to listen to that inner voice, drop into your heart space and listen to what it's telling you, because you really might like what you hear. And acknowledge your awesomeness daily. You are awesome. You are here, and it's time to show who you are. You also let your light shine by making yourself a priority. And this is the reason that when you're in an airplane, the flight attendant instructs you that in the event of an emergency, to put on your oxygen mask first and then help others. Because unless we make ourselves a priority and we truly care for ourselves, we can't help anybody else. So when you nurture yourself, you have better physical health, mental and spiritual health as well. And that makes you stand taller and walk straighter and boosts your confidence. You also increase the clarity on what it is that you desire. You don't have to go through everybody else's stuff. You pay attention to you. You make better and confident decisions, and you recognize how amazing that you are. When you don't let your inner light shine and it dims, you're not being true to what is in your heart. You compare yourself to others, and that keeps you in judgment about who you are. You deplete your mind, body, and soul, and that keeps you unhealthy emotionally and physically. You live and play small, and it's like you walk through life as if you don't matter, and that you become invisible, and that you give your power away to someone else, and you make them responsible for your life. So when you live from your heart, it increases your energy and joy for a happier life. And this reminds me of when I was about 13 years old, and I would get together with my friends for a sleepover. And we'd act really silly, we'd giggle, we'd stay up late. And when I'm living from my heart center, this is truly how it feels for me. When you live from your heart, it helps you look better and feel better with an overall confidence. Have you ever seen somebody who just looks like they're beaming? They're most likely living from their heart and their true authentic self. It helps you maintain healthy boundaries, making sure that you know where your limits are and where somebody else's are. You move into a place of expansion and vibrancy, and it motivates you to try new things and make new friends. So what I do know is that when you shine your light into the world and you live from your heart center, you will attract more love, more harmony, and more peace. I feel that our world is going through some very dark times. And the more that we can look inside of ourselves and shine the light that we have from our heart and radiate it out into the world, any person that we come in contact with, we will be shining our light and giving our heart to them. So please make sure to keep your light shining bright for yourself and for this world. So I have just a little testimonial from Bridget, and you can read it, but I'm going to give you a little paraphrase. That when I met Bridget, she was struggling to find her identity. When she came to me, she really felt like she had no idea what she was going to do in her life, how she was going to move to the next level. And she didn't have a lot of confidence, and she was trying to find who she really was. And since working together, she has truly become an awesome warrior. Now, she's become a warrior in her life, and truly nothing has changed except for her perspective on herself and her life. She hasn't found a new job or a new career, nor has she entered into a relationship. But when you speak to her, she's on top of her world. She is so filled with confidence, and she is shining light. She has learned to be confident and secure in her abilities and the desires that make her happy as she moves into the next chapter of her life. So step number 2 is free yourself at last. So here we're going to talk about how to burden yourself. We're going to talk about how to free yourself of all the burdens that are on your shoulders. And how we do that is freeing ourselves from guilt. Be mindful of what you tell yourself, because you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. So focus on what you're saying and get off that train that says, what if I do this? What if I do that? Why didn't I do this? Always second guessing. And stop telling yourself what you should and shouldn't be doing. That is setting yourself up for focusing on the things that are not working in your life, and that will show up more. When you free yourself from guilt, you will start to pay attention about who can make you happy. So if you have trouble deciding what makes you happy, how can anyone else know that either? When we forgive ourselves, we're doing ourselves a favor. And when we don't, we are really only hurting ourselves. And if we do something that doesn't make us happy, why are we doing it? Are we doing it for somebody else because maybe we don't want to hurt their feelings? Remember whose life you're living, theirs or yours. Taking responsibility for others' happiness is a huge burden to carry, and over time, who asked you to do it anyway? When you take responsibilities for others, there's emotional pain that eventually becomes physical pain. Your lifestyle becomes chaotic because you're always trying to be one step ahead of somebody else. What am I going to do to make them happy? What if I do this? What if I don't do that? You feel frustration and regret, especially when it's not appreciated. You feel depleted, exhausted, and resentful. Can you remember a time when you did something for somebody because you thought it would be a nice thing to do, and they didn't even say thank you? And possibly you brought it to their attention and they looked at you and said, well, who asked you to do it? I didn't ask you to do that. I don't know about you, but I've had my teenage son, he's not a teenager anymore, but I remember several times and thinking, why am I doing these things? This is your responsibility. You figure it out. So I want you to ask yourself that if you keep living your life the way it is right now, are you going to be okay? And what if you don't change anything? So I'm going to give you some tips in case you decide you want to make some changes. These are some small, simple actions. So practice self-forgiveness, because not everything is yours to carry. Being able to accept and forgive yourself for the past will help you move on. Leave everything in the past. As I said before, we're carrying around suitcases full of rocks. We're not going to get very far with those rocks in our bag. So what if we just leave them where they're at? It will propel us to the future with more energy and zest, because the future is the only thing that you can change. By respecting yourself and others, you stop minding other people's business. You really need to let them live their own lives. And this is something for me I practice daily. My son is 31, starting a family, and so often do I need to remember it's no longer my business. And recognize whose thoughts you're thinking. When we start to feel bad or guilty, I want you to ask yourself, whose beliefs are those, or whose thoughts? Are they really yours, or was it something that somebody told you should feel, or was it a coworker, or was it a friend? So when you really stop and say, is that mine? Most of the times you're going to find out that they're not. So start paying attention to whose thoughts you're thinking. And look for wins daily. They don't have to be big. Today I took a picture of a daisy growing up through a crack in the concrete. For me, that was just something to make me smile and to stop and acknowledge the beauty in my day. Look for something that you're going to do today or did today that just put a smile on your face and that made you happy. Because when you start looking for all of those small wins, you're going to start finding more and more and more. Step number 3 is to create amazing relationships. And how you do that is by making a conscious choice of who gets to be in your life. And I really get excited about this because we walk through life so much of our life, we have people in our lives that we really don't like. I don't know if it's happened to you, but you get together with somebody and they're so draining. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I no longer want to go out with this person. But they call you the next time and they say, oh, you want to go out because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You're going to go ahead and do it. So it's really not adding value to your life. So what you want to do is that you want to unfriend them. And if you take what Facebook has learned how to do is just unfriend them for your life. And when you do, think about how much lighter you're going to feel without that extra weight and that extra dread. So let go of the negative Nellies and replace them with positive Pollies. When we surround ourselves with like-minded people, they lift us up and they support us through all of our journeys. The people that we have in our life that we surround ourselves with, we should be able to talk to them about anything and actually get their love and support. So think about those people that drain you down and that they walk into a room and it's like they suck the energy out of the room. And pay attention to what they're doing for you and how you feel when you're around them. And this is one of my favorite concepts, and I believe it's one of the hardest ones. And once I learned to accept people for who they are, not for who I want them to be. So once I learned this for myself, my life changed. I know exactly what I can expect from somebody, and then I can make a choice if I want to have them in my life. And I'm going to just give you a quick example or a little simple example of this. I have a circle of friends, and one of us is always late. And so when we make plans with her, we always adjust our times. I never make it so tight where I can only have 15 minutes with her. I know that I need to extend my time. And so when I plan to be with her, I don't rush. And when this first started happening more and more and more, I would ask myself, gosh, this is not right. Why is she doing this? She's disrespecting my time. But because she adds so much value as a friend, I have learned to accept her for how she is and who she is. So I don't get angry, and I enjoy the time that we have together. Again, always knowing that she will be running late, that she will be running in at the last moment, but I love her nonetheless, and I don't have to be miserable about knowing when I'm going to spend time with her. Express gratitude for your friends, family, and coworkers. So when was the last time you spoke these words to anybody? I appreciate you. Thank you for being in my life. Or I love you. I know I love you is used a lot, at least in my family. But the other two, I really have to stop and think, wow, I'm really giving gratitude for having somebody in my life and letting them know how important, not expecting them to know that they're important, but letting them know they're important. And when you start expressing that gratitude and love daily, it's going to come back to you tenfold. Step number 4 is to free yourself from your mind. Have you ever thought of breaking up with your mind? The part of you that is very, very powerful. When you're in your mind, the things that you need to do is to stop your criticism, negativity, anxiety, worry, and negative self-talk. Because we believe and then we become what we tell ourselves. So what words are you using when you talk to yourself? So what you do instead is you discover who you are on the inside, your authentic self. And then you figure out what really makes you happy and you start focusing on that. And you do that by getting quiet. And then you start accessing your innate wisdom and knowledge because you do have all the answers. And that you will discover who you really are and what really makes you happy. I love this rocking chair analogy. It's about worry. Worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair and expecting to get somewhere. Because you're just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I guess if we were to put a Fitbit on the rocking chair, we probably could accumulate a lot of miles. But we don't go anywhere. And we still are exerting energy. So if you could imagine that that is what like worry is like. You're just sitting there going back and forth, no resolution, not getting even an inch further. But if you were to use that energy and those miles to propel yourself forward into making your life happier, think of how much forward motion you would get and how exciting that would be. And that when we are in a state of worry or anxiety, it creates confusion and doubt and really keeps us stuck. The hamster wheel is when you have those repetitive thoughts going over and over and over and over. It's like, turn my mind off, leave me alone. And when we do that, it makes us feel powerless and feels weighted down. And what we want to start doing is focusing on all of the limitless possibilities that we have ahead, because there are so many things that we can't even imagine. If we imagine it, we know we can create it. So what happens if you don't have the big change in your mind? You can struggle and live in fear, and you can really remain stuck for the rest of your life. I know that really sounds horrible, but there's so many women in midlife and in life that choose that path. And I know that uncertainty feels more familiar than taking charge and going forward. And here's a few things that you can do that will help you break free from that mind. Be in the moment. When your mind holds you hostage with negativity, determine if it's something that you have control over. And that goes back to the rocking chair analogy. If it's just going over and over and over again, do you have control over it? And if you don't have control over it, decide if you need to act on it now. Is it something real, or is it just your mind telling you that you need to be fearful of something or you need to do something different? And then when you get in that moment and you realize, okay, something I can't control or I can control, I want you to stop what you're doing and breathe. Take 3 deep breaths, because when we breathe, we can't think. So it breaks that connection and it stops that process. And then you learn how to ground and center yourself. And that makes you step into your power. You clear your mind, you're ready to go. And then you refocus on a happy thought. By replacing your negative thoughts, anxiety, or worry with something that makes you happy. When I was in labor, I was asked, and I don't know if they do this anymore, I was asked to bring a photo with me that could take me to my happy place. So when I was having a contraction, I could go ahead and look at that photo, and hopefully the focusing on that would lessen the pain. How cool would that be to have this image in our minds that we know when something doesn't feel right, when we're starting to spiral, think about that happy place. Refocus on it, and what we start to do is change our minds. Moving into self-assurance. Recognize and honor the accomplishments that you've made. When was the last time you sat down and wrote a list of all the wonderful things that you've done in your life? And I really don't want you to be shy, because you deserve to be boastful about what you've done in your life. And if you really can't think of anything earth-shattering, start with what you've done today. You've made yourself a priority by taking the time, by being here and taking control of your life. Learn to trust your intuition, because we all have the answers within. That's why it's called women's intuition. We all have it, and it's time to start using it for ourselves. Find out what people like about you and believe it. I'm going to try this little exercise. Ask your loved ones to tell you 3 things that they love about you. You might be surprised what you hear, but I want you to write it down and I want you to believe it. Because if somebody that you love thinks that about you, they must be pretty right on. And treat yourself as you would treat your best friend. Could you imagine talking to yourself? Could you imagine talking to your best friend the way that you talk to yourself? I would have to say that I wouldn't have any friends left if I spoke to them with all the negativity that I speak to myself with. And be careful what you say to yourself, because you're listening. And remember that what you believe about yourself, you become. And silence the voice within you that hasn't met the awesome you. One of my favorite exercises I have my clients do is a happy dance around the house, shouting, "I am awesome, I am awesome, I am awesome." And at first it feels really, really strange, but after a while, you start feeling that and believing it all the way down to your core. When was the last time you did something that made your cheeks hurt because you were smiling so much, or you were crying because you were laughing so much? It's important to find your bliss and to find out what lights you up. When you think about the last time you were laughing so hard, what were you doing? And can you bring more of that into your life? Find your bliss and let yourself shine. Is there something that you've always wanted to do or to learn, but you just haven't found that you have the confidence or think you have the talent to do it? So I want to let you know that now is the time that you should go for it, because we are unstoppable. This is one of my favorite quotes. I cut it out of a magazine many years ago, and I finally had to throw it away because it became so faded I could hardly read it, but it's become etched in my mind, and anybody who knows me knows that I use this often. When I began to change the way I looked at my circumstances in my life, I was able to make a choice. We all have situations in our life that are challenges, but how we look at them determines how we move through them. So I had a choice when I looked at certain circumstances in my life. When I looked at them with self-awareness and power and confidence, I didn't feel like I was a victim anymore, that I had control, that I wasn't at the mercy of someone else. And I decided to either be in the situation or change my circumstances. And the most important thing about that was that I had a choice on how I was going to live my life. This is another testimonial from my client, Kylie. So she wasn't really experiencing any major challenges in her life, but she just felt like she was out of sorts. She wasn't happy, she wasn't unhappy, she just was going through the motions of life. So since working together using bioenergetic healing and coaching, she has started her own business, making her presence known on the web. She's got engaged, and she's really looking forward to a bright future. So the 4 steps to redesign your life is to remember to shine your light by loving yourself. And the more you shine your light out into the world, the brighter the world becomes. To free yourself at last, by stepping into who you are without feeling guilty and without giving excuses for it. To create amazing relationships so that you can experience more love, more gratitude, and more bliss. And to free yourself from your mind, break up with that. That will be the best relationship you ever break up from, so that you can create the best life ever. So are you ready to rediscover your power and to recreate your life? So maybe you've been waiting for things to happen in your life, to take a leap of faith and to become fearless, and to take complete charge of your life, to uncover the emotional blocks and change your perspective, but you're not real sure how you can do that. So you can imagine a life where you're free from your past, where you no longer have to tell the same stories over and over and over again, where you can go ahead and let that suitcase go, where you can speak your truth without feeling guilt, without feeling like I have to make myself small because I can't say this because I will hurt somebody's feelings. Being confident in every choice that you make, because you can, and know that it is within your heart. That makes me think about a woman, I don't know, I've seen her on the web. She's probably in her 60s or 70s, and she's a model, and she's very popular, and she's got white hair, and she wears the craziest looking clothes. But talk about somebody who's confident in the choices that she makes. She owns it, she knows who she is, and she's not going to let anybody make her feel any difference. And can you imagine being surrounded by wonderful, loving relationships of the people who really have your back and want to make sure that they're there to support you in any ways? So at this point, you have a choice. You can stay on the roller coaster and you can keep going through the same patterns that you've been doing day in and day out. You can take these 4 steps that I've talked about, and you can make some positive changes in your life, and hopefully you're going to make them stick. Or we can work together, and I can help you design a roadmap to live the life of your dreams, because I'm here to tell you it is possible. I can help you gain clarity about who you are and what you really want. I can help you release the emotional blocks that are keeping you stuck in pain. And to learn the mindset skills that are crucial for long-term happiness. There's a lot of skills that we learn in life, whether it's your trade, whether it's cooking, sewing, I'm talking about all these women things, fixing cars, doing carpentry work. These are all skills that we learn. But when do we ever learn how to change our mindset and actually put that into a skill? So I can help you learn those skills that you will be able to use for the rest of your life. So I had talked to you earlier before about giving you a gift, and you'll receive a complimentary 45-minute call so we can dig a little deeper into what is blocking you. And for the first 10 women to sign up, I have an extra special gift. And the details of that gift will come in a follow-up email. So the spaces are limited, so I want you to schedule your call now. And you can do that by going to the website at projectmindful2ls.com and click on the tab Breakthrough Session. So this call will be for you if you don't want to struggle anymore on your own and you're really ready to get the help that you want. But you want to take responsibility for your life and not leave it in the hands of somebody else. That you relish the idea of getting rid of the emotional baggage that you've been carrying around for years, and to be able to change the way you look at your life and the world. You know that there's a time that you have to get better results, that you're tired of doing what you have been doing. You're at the place in your personal development and you just need to figure out the last couple pieces of the puzzle. And you don't want to sacrifice your happiness for someone else's. This call won't be for you if you're not willing to dig deep and to do the work that it takes to make a change. And you don't believe that you can change and you're not willing to make yourself a priority, or you still think that everything is still okay. Why I do these calls for free is I believe that we all deserve to enjoy our happiest lives. And it truly is my mission to help you explore your limitless possibilities because there's so many out there. And I don't want you to give up or feel like you're in it alone. So go ahead and sign up for that phone call. So on our call, we're going to talk about you and your situation. And I'm going to help you find ways to apply the 4 steps into your life. We're going to talk about the Life Shift program and decide if it's a good fit for you. And then if we decide to work together, we can begin right away. And if we decide that we're not going to work together, that's totally okay. So if we work together, you're going to learn to love yourself instead of self-sabotaging. Tell yourself how wonderful you are by letting go of limited beliefs. Find out what really makes you happy and how to get there. To create better relationships, to become more confident and more self-aware. To start paying attention to who we are, what we want, and how we see the world and responsible for our thoughts, things will start to shift. Set yourself free from the past and change your perspective. Learn to speak your truth of truly who you are and to shine your light into the world by becoming the gift that you are. If you think of who you are, think of the most expensive stone package that you can imagine. And I want you to know that that is who you are. You are the gift. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And the first step is always the hardest, but it is the only way to get to the next step. So if you sign up within the next 24 hours, I have a second special bonus for you. And we do this because we want action takers, awesome warriors, and women who are ready to say, I'm here to do this. I'm here to make a breakthrough and a change in my life. So, you're ready to move forward? Schedule your call today because the spaces are limited. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me, and I hope that I will be talking to you soon. Have a wonderful evening.